There's something strange about how Five Nights at Freddy's spread. It didn't trend, it infected. A point-and-click indie horror game with no budget, no studio, and barely any movement at all. And it somehow became one of the biggest horror franchises on the planet. In less than a decade, it went from a basement project to a billion-dollar empire. And along the way, it rewired the internet. This is the story of how one game took over YouTube, fan culture, merch stores, and now movie theaters. And it never let it go. On August 14th, FNAF was finally released on Steam, created by the solo developer Scott Cawthon, who had nearly quit the industry after his failed Chipper & Sons was called an unintentionally creepy game. FNAF was born out of failure and fear, and the game's concept was simple. Survive 5 nights as a night guard using only security cameras. But what made it revolutionary was its psychological horror and tight claustrophobic tension. You weren't running from the monsters. You were stuck inside of the building with them. And at this point, every child had been to a Chuck E. Cheese or something similar. Imagine those animatronics that you were come to know and love sat on that stage, came to life, and hunted you for 5 whole nights from 12 a.m. to 6 a.m. and you got a minuscule amount of money just to so-called watch them. The best thing about FNAF is it wasn't bloody, it wasn't gory. It was a single jump scare that was somehow more horrific than any other horror game up until that point. And that single jump scare launched a new era of horror games, and YouTube took notice. Markiplier's playthrough was titled The Scariest Game in Years, and he wasn't wrong. His FNAF series quickly became one of the most watched horror playlists on the platform, and content creators became part of FNAF's identity. They weren't just playing the games, they were fueling the hype, and my brother had a big key to pushing that as well. The game's simplicity, though, made it perfect for recreations and reactions, and its difficulty kept players coming back for rematches, especially when custom nights allowed creators to challenge each of the other hardest modes and get the crown for doing so, similar to how Daco did it. But that's not all. There's hidden lore all throughout FNAF, and Scott intentionally put this in the game to allow it to continue to grow, have that fire always kick off on the internet, creating theories and everything in between. So who was the purple guy? What happened to the missing children? What is the bite of 87? These weren't just plot points. They were mysteries that turned players into detectives, and I'm one of the ones that fell right into that category. Scott built lore like an ARG. Over time, he released 6 main games and multiple spin-offs, official novels, and even source code clues to expand the universe and give players something to hang on to want, to create more content. And that content allowed FNAF to explode all over the internet. Not to mention the depth invited YouTubers like MatPat to create decade-spanning timelines and theory videos, some reaching over 50 million views. I'm sorry, but any company that allows that kind of viewership is going to bring in a lot of eyes and attention, not to mention downloads and money in your pocket. But it didn't end there. As FNAF's popularity continued to grow, the fan base began creating their own games. And some were tributes, others full-scale horror experience that rivaled the original FNAF games. The Joy of Creation comes to mind by Nixon. It brought a free roam perspective, not to mention Pop Goes. It introduced new animatronics and storylines, and the list goes on. Some of my favorite FNAF games are actually fan-style games. And Scott is so intelligent in his marketing that he created a program for some of the best FNAF indie developers, the FNAF Fanverse Initiative. And this proved that these weren't just side projects, but Scott himself supported many of them. He eventually funded the Fazbear Fanverse Initiative to give top fan games official recognition. He wasn't trying to copyright people who enjoyed his game and wanted to make games similar. No, he rewarded them, which again pushed his animatronic characters and the storylines and everything that came around this universe and made us all one big family. And let's not even talk about the merch. Between 2016 and 2021, FNAF made over 100 million in licensed merchandise alone. From Walmart shelves to Hot Topic walls, Fazbear Frights were everywhere. Then came the long-awaited FNAF movie, released by Blumhouse in 2023. It was the #1 box office horror film that month, earning more than 280 million worldwide. Critics might have been mixed on their reviews, but fans were devoted, and FNAF officially joined the ranks of a horror franchise with staying power. Not to mention, any fan that had played the original games and might have gotten a little bit older at this point, the FNAF movie opened up a whole new younger audience. I have cousins and nephews that saw the movie for the first time, never knowing anything about Bonnie or Freddy or Foxy, and are now lifelong fans. Sales skyrocketed for any type of FNAF merch, and I've probably been to 3 or 4 birthday FNAF parties since the release of the movie. And speaking of the movie, once again, Scott paid tribute to the ones that helped him get to where he is. He brought all of the original FNAF developers, creators, and then allowed them to see the movie before it was released and the set. Now, this is something that allowed him to get more coverage, not only on the games, but the movie itself. As creators began releasing their vlogs of how they saw the FNAF set, it brought more hype to the movie. Not to mention, my brother, Daco, 8-Bit Ryan, Raz, and many others were actually cameoed inside the movie as well. And who can forget Corey Kenshin and Matt Pat literally getting roles inside of the film. FNAF has been such a key part of the internet, and it didn't just inspire content, it changed horror gaming forever. Short sessions, replayable jump scare loops, ambiguous lore. Games like Poppy Playtime and Garden of Banban borrowed directly from the FNAF formula. Meanwhile, TikTok horror and Roblox games leaned hard into this style as well, and FNAF proved that horror doesn't need big budgets. It needs creativity, community, and just enough mystery to keep the fans theorizing. And a cute mascot to follow doesn't hurt as well. And I don't see FNAF dying anytime soon. As a matter of fact, I think it might just live on forever. With The Secret of the Mimic and a new DLC in the works, plus more novels and movie sequel already announced, FNAF's story isn't even close to ending. Literally within the next month, we're going to have 2 huge releases. FNAF Dead by Daylight, that is something that we never could have imagined. A game that is known for having the staples in horror has just solidified FNAF as exactly that by bringing the characters that we've come to know and love inside of it. And this is a great potential to once again join 2 fan bases together. One of Scott's master ideas in order to push the game to a new audience. And it doesn't look like they've shortened any type of development in the characters, which is nice. The Springtrap animatronic looks amazing, and they even got Matthew Lillard to voice act a special Spring Bonnie skin inside of the game. This is the type of attention to detail that Scott has always provided, allowing himself to understand what the fans want and then bringing it to life. At this point, all we're missing is that Fortnite collab. What started as one man's passion project became a franchise with over 50 million units sold, thousands of hours of lore, and a fan base that spans generations. It's not just nostalgia at this point. It's not just fear. FNAF lives on because fans feel like it belongs to them, and the franchise keeps evolving to reflect that. But there's also a psychological aspect to why FNAF is so popular. And by now, think about it. You know the timeline. You've played the games, you've watched the theories, maybe even written one yourself. But why do we keep coming back? It's because Five Nights at Freddy's isn't just horror. It's a puzzle, and our brains are wired to solve puzzles. It's not just about who died, it's why they died, who's lying, what's hidden in the walls. It's the same loop that fuels true crime obsessions, ARGs, cryptic YouTube channels. FNAF types into that psychological itch, the one that says you missed something. And Scott built a world that punishes surface level thinking and rewards obsession. No other game drops lore in source code comments or forces you to lose to find a secret. Or at least it didn't when the original FNAF came out. I guess now you have games like Amanda the Adventurer and many others that have followed suit, but Scott was the first one to do it. And not only is the game creepy and mysterious, but FNAF has become one of the most meme franchises in gaming. The Bite of 87, the meme with Balloon Boy, memes all over the timeline. And that's somehow also canon. FNAF lives at this strange crossroads between horror, hilarious, and absurdity. And the tension builds, the music drops, the screen flickers, and then a giant bear comes screaming in your face. It's terrifying and hilarious, and that's why we love it. I remember the first time that my brother introduced FNAF into our household. My dad, my sister, my mom, we all played it, and it was so funny to watch each and every one of our reactions. One of us would turn the game on for another family member, turn off all the lights, and then just watch how they reacted to the whole thing. And I'm sure I could say the same about many of you. The game not only was on PC at that point, but you could eventually get it on mobile as well. This has become more than a game. It's an identity, and people decorate their rooms in FNAF. Kids wear Freddy shirts to school, adults write theory essays longer than college papers, me included, and there are a few franchises that jump generations like this one did. But FNAF has been passed down, game by game. Newer, younger players. It's a digital campfire of horror for the YouTube era. In a way, FNAF filled the void left by creepypastas. We used to whisper about Jeff the Killer, Ben Drowned, or Smile Dog. Now we whisper about Glitchtrap, The Crying Child, and The Happiest Day. It's the new mythos, made for screens. Even the music tells stories. The fan songs became anthems. Some got millions of views. Others became canon in the minds of fans, shaping how we see the characters. And let me not tell you, I'd be lying if I didn't tell you, as much as I make fun of Daco, some of his songs are actually pretty catchy, and I find myself humming to them from time to time. And when the official content slows down, the fan base always finds a way to keep it burning. With the fan games, the TikToks, the edits, the mods, the creepypastas, the VHS tapes, and not to mention any of those meme reviews. FNAF has become more than a franchise. It's a platform at this point. And the real secret to why FNAF never dies? Well, everyone has a different first night. Everyone has a different theory. Everyone has a Freddy that scared most of them. And that's why we're still here, 10+ years later, watching the cameras and waiting for what comes next. Now, if you made it this far in the video, what's your favorite FNAF moment? Whether it's yours or something that you witnessed with your family, go ahead and comment that down below. And don't forget to subscribe, because the next FNAF video is coming very, very soon, and I don't want you to miss out. Anyways, until next time, peace out!